Right, should we see what, if anything, comes out of this fork leg? Trouble is, you can't really tell if anything's in there for sure until you undo the drain plug to let it out, and then you go refill it anyway. But let's see. Ooh, oh dear. It's not really looking like what ought to come out of that, but that's not surprising either. Let's see if I can squeeze them a bit. Well, I'll keep pumping that leg out. At least it's got something in there actually. I'll get all that out, and that'll be ready for an oil change, and I'll do the same with the other leg, and then at least we'll know that hopefully we'll finish up with the right quantity of a decent oil in the forks. It looks like the camera's decided to go out of focus again. Oh, there we are. It's back again now. So I'll do that, and we'll have another look in a moment at the other leg. We'll see what, if anything, comes out of that one. Right, here we go again, and we're on the right side of the A65 this time. I've slackened the drain plug in the fork leg. Let's see what we get, if anything, out of this side. Right, well, there's either nothing in there or it's that full of goo that something's got blocked. Let's pull the forks down, give them a little bit of a pump if we can. Ah, there we are. Yeah, there was a bit of a blockage. Well, we've got some real snotty looking muck in there, I'd say, too. We've got a lot more fluid than I would have expected out of one fork leg in that jug. I'll carry on pumping the forks and get this liquid mud out of the other fork leg, and then I'll look at the amounts of oil to put in. I think they're usually something like about 150cc to 180cc, but don't take my word for it. I'll get the manual out and we'll see for certain how much it is, but the right amount of good clean oil certainly isn't going to do any harm to these fork legs. I've got both fork legs empty of that sludgy, muddy, gravy-like stuff that came out of the legs there. What came out of one leg looked different to what was in the other one, but both looked horrible. I checked in the manual and it's 190cc per leg, so I've got some clean oil. It says use SAE20 in the book. I've actually got 2050, the same as I put in the engines here, which I've used in lots of forks, and it works to my own liking anyway, to my own taste, but it might not suit everyone, so I'm not saying put this in your forks. This is just what I choose and find to do a pretty good job. So that's some clean 2050 190ccs of going into the right side leg there, and I don't know whether I'll bore everyone with repeating this for the other side, but I'll be doing exactly the same over there. We'll have 190ccs per leg of nice clean mineral 2050 oil in the forks. I think most of the clattering that I thought was coming from the forks, and I thought there was no oil in them to damp them, was actually coming from that loose steering damper assembly, the loose steering head bearings and the loose brake plate, which between all three made the front end feel quite sort of dry and sloppy and clattery, but I'm sure everything will feel a lot better after this. So I'm just going to go and refill my jug and put oil in the other leg, same quantity, and then obviously I have to take the instrument binnacle off to access the fork top nuts, but that's no biggie, just 2 Allen bolts in the case of this one, and then once I've got oil in this left side leg, I'll be able to put the top nut back in that fork, replace the instrument console, and I think we might be done. Well, I think I could be round about where I want to be with this. Low gearing possibly aside, but I've been over the front end now and got the everything sorted out that needed sorting. Steering head bearings adjusted and that business with the front wheel and front brake that we saw. Fork oils changed, so it's just about ready to go again, I would say. The only other observation when I was doing all this work was that obviously in order to refill the forks with fresh oil, you have to remove the top nuts here in order to be able to pour the oil in, and neither top nut on either side was particularly tight. In fact, they were just about loose, and these actually, although they've got a very fine thread on them, they do need to be done up tightly, and they should be done up tightly before the clamping nuts and bolts for the stanchions in the bottom yoke are tightened up to clamp this, because the ends of the fork stanchions are tapered and the entry into the top yoke is tapered at the same angle, and what's supposed to happen is these nuts, you're supposed to be able to tighten them up and they actually pull the taper of the stanchion into the taper of the top yoke, and just the sort of action of the nut being tightened pulls them together so tightly they interlock so that the tapers lock, and the stanchion can't or shouldn't be able to slew in the top yoke at all. And by the time you got both stanchions locked tightly on their tapers in the top yoke and clamped via this nut and bolt in the bottom yoke, which some people might start complaining that they can't see, but there it is. That means basically, imagine if you put the front wheel between your knees, standing in front of the bike, and grab the handlebars and try to slew the handlebars one way or the other. If these weren't locked in their tapers properly, you'd probably get a lot more slew than you would when they are locked in properly. And the same goes for these if these aren't done up tightly. So everything's tight, the steering head bearings are adjusted nicely. As you can see, I'm trying to waggle the handlebars there, the front wheel's clamped much tighter than I could hold it between my knees, and it really doesn't want to move. But you often get bikes where if you try and do that, the handlebars will sort of move quite a bit, and if they do, the forks aren't clamped in the yokes and clamped together properly. But this one's all good now, so it can probably come off the bike lift again, and I'm possibly done with it, although I think I will put a few more miles on it. I'd like to see it get up to around 100 miles before I hand it over, but the 45 that I've done on it have all been pretty well okay, so we might get a little bit more mileage on it before the storms come, which are due imminently, would you believe. But the sun is shining at the moment, so it might be time to whiz up the road on it again shortly.